Hi, welcome you all for this session. In this session, we will be discussing the effect of solvents that we are using in spectroscopy, in particular the UV spectroscopy, and the effect of these solvents on the absorption spectrum or the UV absorption spectrum. So, basically, we use two different types of solvents, and these two different types of solvents fall under the category of polar and non-polar. For polar, we have ethanol as an example. We can use methanol and so many. We can use water, which fall under this polar category. And under the category of non-polar, we use isooctane, N-hexane, so on and so forth. In this particular discussion, I have taken isooctane. So any solvent we use in UV spectroscopy to dissolve our sample or solute, they fall under these two categories of either polar solvent or non-polar solvent. So we need to understand the effect of the polar solvent on the UV absorption spectrum. So I have taken an example, as I said, ethanol as an example. So all the polar solvents, usually they have an electronegative atom, and this electronegative atom has a lone pair of electrons, and this lone pair of electrons are the non-bonding electrons, and these non-bonding electrons can form an hydrogen bonding with the solute that we have discussed in the previous discussions, that this lone pair of electrons are involved in the hydrogen bonding, and especially when this is used as a solvent, when ethanol is used as a solvent, this lone pair of electrons will tend to form hydrogen bonding with the solutes what we are dissolving in the ethanol. So they form solute solvent complexes. Hence the conjugation, the lone pair of electrons are involved in the conjugation with the chromophoric group that is present in the solute. Therefore, once after the hydrogen bonding has formed, there is increase in the absorption maxima or lambda max, thus shifting the absorption maxima towards the higher value. So basically, this was an example which we discussed for bathochromic shift. So and usually the polar solvent diminishes the vibrationally fine structure of UV spectrum. That means the peak become broader. That is because of the interaction of this lone pair of electrons, and they are involved in hydrogen bonding. And because of this hydrogen bonding, since there is an interaction of this ethanol with the solute or the sample what we are employing, since there is an interaction, the vibrationally fine structure of the spectrum, I mean of the sample, is lost. And I will show you this particular diagram here, where I have taken a compound in ethanol, which is a polar solvent, and you can see there is a lot of detail that is being missing in this particular area. Whereas the same compound, if I have taken in isooctane, which is a non-polar solvent, I will come to this non-polar solvent right away in this slide. You can see there is a lot of detail in the spectrum if I take the same solute in the non-polar solvent. If I take the same solute in the polar solvent, I miss a lot of detail in the spectrum. So we call this as a broad peak, or we lose this vibrational fine structure. Coming to the non-polar solvents, usually these non-polar solvents do not have any lone pair of electrons, and they do not form any hydrogen bonds with the solute. So we get vibrationally fine structure. So I have taken the same sample in isooctane, and you can see there are a lot of peaks or details in the peak which we can see in this particular region. So the same sample, when it was taken in isooctane and ethanol, the kind of absorption peaks we observed were quite different. In ethanol, the vibrationally fine structure was lost and the peak was broad, whereas in isooctane, since there was no interaction or since there was no hydrogen bonding with isooctane, which is a non-polar solvent, we got a vibrationally fine structure. Coming to some of the basic requirements of using a solvent, what are the basic requirements of any solvent when we are using in UV sample preparations? Basically, the solvent whatever we use for preparing the sample, they by themselves should not show any absorption in the region where we are doing our investigation. So the solvent by themselves should not absorb any UV radiations. If they absorb the UV radiations, and if that absorption is falling under the region of investigation, then the peak will tend to overlap, or the sample peak will tend to overlap with the solvent peak. And the other basic requirement is the solvent should not interact in any way chemically with the sample molecules. As we saw with the polar solvents, they usually tend to interact with the solutes by hydrogen bonding. Even if there is a small hydrogen bonding, the peak position will be shifted and it gets affected, and the peak will tend to become broader and broader. So basically we don't need any interaction of the solvent, and the solvent itself should not have any UV absorption. And if possible, we tend to avoid the polar solvents as they interact with the chromophoric groups. Most of the chromophoric groups will tend to interact with these polar solvents, but ideally we use ethanol as a most as a best solvent because it is cheap and it is transparent below 210 nanometer, and commercially available ethanol cannot be used because they will be adding some benzene in it, and benzene will be having strong absorption in the UV visible region. So commercially available ethanol is not used, but the routine ethanol is usually used. Coming to the effect of solvent on absorption spectra, position as well as the intensity of the absorption maxima of the compound get shifted by changing in the polarity of the solvent. We had this discussion when we were discussing a bathochromic shift and the hypsochromic shift, where in which the absorption maxima was shifted towards the red end or towards the blue end of the spectrum, and that is because of the change in the polarity. We'll discuss quite in detail in today's discussion what makes the shift towards the longer wavelength or the shorter wavelength. Absorption maxima of dienes and conjugated hydrocarbons are appreciably shifted with increase in polarity. I mean to say, the lambda max or the absorption maxima of this class of compounds which are having the electron rich character, that is dienes and conjugated hydrocarbons, are not appreciably shifted. I mean to say, they are not much affected with increase in the polarity. Rather, absorption maxima of non-polar compounds, they are usually shifted with the change in polarity. So we need to remember this. I am discussing the effect of solvent on absorption spectrum of alpha beta unsaturated compounds in these coming slides. So if you have any alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl compound, they usually show two different types of shifts. Okay, and the first shift is N to pi star, and the second one is pi to pi star. N to pi star is because of the virtue of the electronegative atom that we have in the carbonyl group, and the pi to pi star transition is because of the double bond which we have in the carbonyl group. So basically we tend to see these two types of electronic transitions. Coming to the first one, that is N to pi star transition, also known as R band. We have discussed this N to pi star transition in electronic transitions. In this N to pi star transition, increase in the polarity or increase in the polarity of the solvent, the band moves towards shorter wavelength. Okay, so in this particular kind of transition, that is N to pi star transition, if I increase the polarity of the solvent, the band or the lambda max or the absorption maxima tend to move towards the shorter wavelength. That is because the ground state tends to become more polar compared to the excited state. I can show you here in this particular diagram. So there is N to pi star transition, and A to B is the transition that is happening in the non-polar solvent, and C to D is a transition that is happening in the polar solvent. So basically in the polar solvent, what happens is the ground state becomes more polar compared to the excited state. So if this ground state is becoming more polar compared to the excited state, then this particular distance, that is CD, is quite higher than AB. because I'm using a polar solvent, and in the polar solvent the ground state tends to become more polar, and that's the reason the distance CD is quite higher than AB. So if this is the case, then we need much more energy to bring about this transition, because the distance between this lower and the higher energy state is quite higher. I mean to say CD is higher or greater than AB. So in order to bring about an excitation from CD or from AB, the energy required is higher in CD compared to AB. So if I take the carbonyl compound in the polar solvent, then I need higher energy. Then where do I get the higher energy? I get that higher energy in the shorter wavelength region. Therefore, in order to bring about this particular transitions, that is N to pi star transition in the polar solvent, I need higher energy. So if I am using higher energy, then the wavelength will tend to shift towards the shorter wavelength region. Okay, that is one possibility. And the other possibility is the hydrogen bonding with solvent will occur to a lesser extent with carbonyl group in the excited state. That is the reason there is no much difference in the shift of this B and D excited state. Okay, so I have taken an example, the lambda max of acetone. Acetone in hexane, it shows 279 nanometer as a lambda max. If I take same acetone in water, the lambda max is at 264 nanometer. Basically what has happened is there is the shift of lambda max towards the shorter wavelength region, and that was because of the ground state is more polar compared to the excited state, and the hydrogen bonding with the solvent occurs to a lesser extent with the carbonyl group in the excited state. So this was the effect of solvent on N to pi star transition. Next, coming to the effect of solvent on pi to pi star transition, also known as K-band. Increase in polarity. Here, increase in polarity, the band move towards the longer wavelength region. Okay, it is quite vice versa with the previous, that is N to pi star transition. Here, increase in polarity, the band moves towards the longer wavelength region, and the dipole interactions with the solvent molecules lower the energy of the excited state more than that of the ground state. If there is a lot of dipole interaction, what happens is the excited state, the energy of the excited state is lowered more. You can see the distance has been lowered when compared to the ground state. So AB is quite higher than compared to CD. Okay, if I take the compound in a non-polar solvent and in the same compound in the polar solvent, then if there is a pi to pi star transition, the band usually moves towards a longer wavelength, is because the distance CD is less compared to the distance AB. Okay, or in other words, AB is quite higher than CD. So in order to bring about this transition, that is AB, I need more energy, whereas this transition CD in polar solvent, I need very little energy. So if I want little energy, then I usually go for the longer wavelength region. So I have achieved the pi to pi star transition in polar solvent at the longer wavelength with very less energy. So, and as an example, lambda max of the compound in ethanol is greater than that observed in hexane, because the ethanol is the polar solvent, whereas the hexane is the non-polar solvent. However, we need to note that very important thing, that pi star orbitals are more stabilized by hydrogen bonding with the polar solvent like water and alcohol, and increase in polarity of the solvent generally shifts the N to pi star and N to sigma star bands towards the shorter wavelengths, whereas the pi to pi star transitions are shifted to the longer wavelength region. Here is the list of solvents that are commonly used in ultraviolet UV spectrum. Here you can see the wavelength cutoff for various solvents. For water it is 180 nanometer, ethanol it is 220. I mean to say above 220, ethanol does not have any absorption in the UV visible region. Likewise, above these wavelength regions, there is no absorption by these solvents, and they are especially used as a good solvent in UV spectroscopy. With this, we are concluding with this effect of solvent in the absorption spectrum.